Russell, you're on the Michael Berry Show, Russell. Go ahead, my man.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Good.
Hey, I was on a 375 Ranger Regiment for the invasion of Iraq, and, you know, the Rangers are pretty well equipped, as far as night vision and thermal weapon sights and having everything to our disposal. But I tell you one thing that we jumped in Iraq with back in March of 2003 was a bayonet. Had one in my rucksack. You know what? Here I've got all this high-tech stuff, but guess what? I still have bayonet. It's just like in baseball. You got, going back to the basics.
How long was the bayonet?
I would say it was about 7 or 8 inches. I mean, the bayonets all connect on the end of our rifles. And if you go look across the military inventory, there's bayonets in every arms room and every.
Hold on a moment, Russell. Hold on. I want to get to this. Thank you for your service, first of all. I want to hear this. Don't you? You think Russell would have cut somebody if he had to? Think he would have cut one of my Iraqis?
Here we go.
The Michael Berry Show.
Be a pal and friend Michael on Facebook. Exclusive news and content just for you. Search for The Michael Berry Show.
Somewhere last night, Joe Biden was sitting all alone in a white-walled room, laughing.
I'm embarrassed I can't speak to you in Chinese. Your policy has been one which I fully understand, I'm not second-guessing, of one child per family.
Barack didn't tell us that his job was to communicate that we have to help the Muslims last night.
My job is to communicate the fact that the United States has a stake in the well-being of the Muslim world.
And he didn't brag about the outreach on behalf of NASA instead of exploring space for the Muslims.
Before I became the NASA administrator, he charged me with 3 things. One was he wanted me to help re-inspire children to want to get into science and math. He wanted me to expand our international relationships. And third, and perhaps foremost, he wanted me to find a way to reach out to the Muslim world and engage much more with dominantly Muslim nations to help them feel good about their historic contribution to science, math, and engineering.
I guess I'd be stammering, too, if I had all those things to account to the American people for.
And now a look into President Obama's debate prep.
Well, Governor, we also have fewer horses and bayonets because the nature of our military has changed. We had
Russell, you landed in March of 2003 in Iraq, and you had an Army-issued bayonet?
Yes, sir. Back in 2003, March of 2003, 3rd Ranger Battalion did several airfield seizures, and one of them, I got to take part in. And one of the things that I had, in my ruck, because, everything that you jump in with is the only things that you're going to have until you get a resupply later. It's not like you've got a big giant convoy behind you with all the resupplies needed. So whatever ammo, food, water, clothes that you jump in with is all you're going to have. One of the items that, I carried was a bayonet, along with thermal weapon sights and night vision. So, Obama can make fun of it, all he wants. But, just like you have your fundamentals in baseball, you have your fundamentals in warfighting. And bayonets happen to be one of them. And to give you an example of that, every military-issued small arms rifle has a bayonet lug nut on it. So basically, the total length of the knife is 12 inches. The blade is 7 inches. You slide it over your barrel, and it locks into the bottom of your rifle. That way your rifle becomes a big pointing stick. And just to show you how much it is in the fundamentals of combat, the Republican Guard, who we were fighting against, have AK-47s. Well, guess what? They've got bayonets as well that lock into their AK-47s. So the enemy and coalition forces all have rifles that have a lug nut that you lock bayonets into to turn your rifle into a big giant sword. And for example, I happen to have
almost like a spear.
Yeah, exactly, almost like a spear. And still in basic training now, they still have bayonet assault courses. And when I went to Ranger School back in the day, they had bayonet assault courses. So it's something that's still in the Army inventory, and it's something soldiers and Marines both train on before they go to combat. And just for the record, while I got everybody on the phone or on the radio, I happen to have one of those Iraqi bayonets that came from an AK-47. So that's my one more trophy. So when
do you have it mounted?
No, I've got it hung up in my garage. Yes, so in my man cave.
You don't have a nice mount on it?
No, I don't have a nice mount on it.
It's just hanging up there?
Yeah, it's just hanging up in my garage.
Getting dusty?
Yeah, getting dusty.
How long did you serve in Iraq?
I did 2 tours in Iraq and 2 tours in Afghanistan. And in the special operations community, your tour is a little bit shorter because it's continuous rotation through the whole community.
Russell, I'm betting I could get somebody to frame that real nicely for you with some of your other memorabilia from your tours.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think we could probably get a listener to donate some services or the money for it and get you a nice framed. What else do you have from your tour that would go in? If we made a box, you know what I mean? You've seen those, the kind of memorabilia boxes? We had a nice box with a clear glass and you know, the felt behind it, and then they mount the things. What would be the things that would go in there?
Let's see. I've got that Iraqi bayonet. I've got my tambourine and several other items. One item that I'm particularly proud of, and you know, it's hard for me to talk about it every once in a while. I know y'all probably heard of that book, The Lone Survivor. There was 4 Navy SEALs that got compromised in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of them was missing for 2 weeks, and General McChrystal pretty much sent all the special operations up into the mountains of Afghanistan to find that one last Navy SEAL. And his mission statement was, nobody comes home until we bring that Navy SEAL home. So, you know, we walked around the mountains of Afghanistan for 4 or 5 days before we found him. And, you know, we walked through this friendly village, and I say that, you know, a friendly village, you know, and I found a pair of burnt DCUs, which, we found Axe not too far after that. So I still have a pair of, his burnt DCUs from the firefight, which that's something that's real special to me that I've held on to for a real long time. So.
Wow.
But for the President of the United States to sit there and, make fun of, our foreign policy like it's a joke or a game of Battleship, that's highly disrespectful. Me, like I said, I was a special operations soldier in 375 Ranger Regiment. I mean, I jumped into combat out of an airplane, less than a year after I was out of high school. So for him to make fun of, the military and say that kind of thing, it's pretty wrong of the president.
Well, let's be very clear. This is a guy who doesn't know how to say corpsman.
Navy Corpsman Christian Bashar.
He shouldn't be allowed to speak publicly on issues of military affairs. It's an embarrassment. I mean, it really is. They should put a pronunciation guide for him.
Navy Corpsman Christian Bashar.
Russell, I am determined to get your the things that are important to you from your 2 tours, 2 in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan, framed and mounted nicely. So I'm going to ask you to hold on for a second. I'll get your contact information, and whoever first says that they'll take care of it for you will get a nice mention on the show. What do you do now?
I'm actually a field service manager for a security company. I'm out here in the Houston area helping running chemical contracts.
Kids?
Chemical contracts.
No. Do you have any kids?
Oh, yeah. I have a 5-year-old.
Boy or girl?
Boy. When he grows up, he wants to be an airborne ranger.
Oh, there you go. What's his name?
Everett Tassin.
Everett?
Yes, sir.
That's a great name. Everett, what's his middle name?
Russell.
Everett Russell. Which is your name? What's your full name?
Russell James Tassin.
Hassan?
Tassin, Tassin.
What kind of name is Tassin?
It's like a French Canadian name. I think it's from my family's all originally from Louisiana, but I was born and raised here in Houston, Texas. So.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Santa Fe High School down there in Galveston County.
Oh, that's where Ramon's from. Ramon's one of our producers. He doesn't show up most of the time, but Ramon Robles, I think he went to Santa Fe High School. Huh. How about that? All right. Where do you live now?
I moved back down to Santa Fe. I spent my whole life trying to get out of Santa Fe, and then, after 8 years in the Army, I was trying to get back to Santa Fe.
That's a Mac Davis song.
So
I thought happiness was Lubbock, Texas in my rearview mirror, and then he comes back home and raises his kids there. We'll probably come back with that song. It's a great. Do you know that? You're too young for. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Oh, you're just a baby. All those great life experiences. Do the guys at work all want to ask you about what it was like over there?
Not really. Most people don't know what I did. But
you still wear a crew cut?
No, we're like a low fade. You couldn't tell. I got out of the Army and gained a bunch of weight. You would never know.
Do you have any tats?
Nope. I'm actually one of them weird people that were in the Army in combat arms and never got a tattoo.
Wow. A lot of those guys do. And
yes.
I don't blame them. That's kind of one of those things that they forever want to remember what they went through. Well, Russell, I appreciate your service, my man. Hold on, I'm going to get your email address, and I have your phone number.
All
and,
right, one more thing, Ranger, lead the way.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. You got to love those guys. I mean, that's the heart and soul. That's SOTE right there, Brian. Salt of the earth. That's the kind of people that keep this nation great. That's the kind of people that they don't make TV shows about. They'll never be named Dad of the Year. They'll never be honored on a billboard, or, you know, that's the heart and soul of America right there. That guy right there. And to think he went into the desert with those sand rats and some of his buddies didn't come. You don't ever forget that. I mean, I'm not saying that obviously from experience, but those guys, and they're all around you. They're in the line behind you at the grocery store. I have a theory. If you ask 3 questions, you'll find out that every human being is fascinating for one reason or another. So let's get that framed for him, shall we?